Letitia James is in a whole lot of trouble, more than you could have ever imagined. I know. You know, this is a woman who campaigned on one thing and one thing only.
He's called me venomous.
We will fight back to your attempt to bring Trumpism to New York City.
He's called me disgraceful.
Of the fact that they stole the Supreme Court seat. An illegitimate president and an illegitimate member of the United States Supreme Court.
Okay, I'm not going to torture you. I know. You know how bad she is. I just wanted to remind you. A little sampling there. Well, anyway, it's just come out now that apparently she might have done something rather fraudulent with her own real estate holdings. This is Roger Stone who sent this out. Now, it's Roger Stone who likes to disturb a bit, shall we say. What do you call him? And you know what's disturber? Anyway, Donald Trump sending it out, retweeting this. A careful examination of New York Attorney General Letitia James' financial disclosures, Roger writes, shows she inflated the value of her assets in order to get mortgages on various commercial properties. Exactly what she accused President Trump of doing. Falsely accused, he adds, President Trump of doing. So, whoa, wait a second. Remember how this all went down? Donald Trump went to Deutsche Bank, said, hey, I want a loan. Deutsche Bank said, sure, what do you get as collateral? He said, I got these commercial properties, including one Mar-a-Lago, and it's valued at whatever you valued at. Letitia James then goes back after the fact and says, no. I don't think Mar-a-Lago was actually worth what you think it's worth. I think it's only worth $18 million, despite the fact that it makes $57 a year. Anyway, she's coming in as the Attorney General of the state of New York saying, no, I don't think you can do this deal with Deutsche Bank because I think you inflated the value of Mar-a-Lago. Of course, value's in the eye of the beholder, shall we say. I mean, I'd buy it for $18 million. We could get a few people together, do a deal, and buy that puppy for $18 million. I mean, it's bonkers. The whole thing is bonkers. And then he winds up with a $500 million, nearly $500 million fine. It is absolutely the most insane thing I've ever seen. And to me, this is the most egregious one. You know that, and maybe it's because I've been a business reporter my entire career, but I really, and I'm a capitalist, red-blooded American capitalist at heart. I don't like the idea of Letitia James coming in between me and my bank. But, you know, don't forget, this is the woman that wanted to seize his assets. She was trying to seize his assets if he couldn't come up with the $500 million. She's like, why doesn't he have it? Like anybody has that laying around. Chump change. Yeah, let me go up to the bedroom and get it. It's under my mattress. I don't think so, Letitia. Not even Elon, wealthiest guy in the world, has that. Here she is saying she's going to go after every asset.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Letitia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
You see, that's what she wanted to do. That's what she wanted to do all along. Spirit-filled, thank you so much for your generosity. I'll get to your comment in just a second. But that's the problem here, okay? You get these uber political people that are trying to go after Donald Trump that have no business going after him for lawful transactions. And now, what do you know? It turns out she might have done something quite similar. Indeed, quite similar. Leave it to Roger to uncover this. So she's kind of, in a bit of a pickle here. She's trying to act all victorious because, DOGE, they've been moving full force ahead with USAID. They're closing down buildings. I'm going to show you some of this video because it's really, really remarkable. It's just great. You got Maxine Waters outside the Department of Education screaming at the security guard. I mean, it is amazing, all the things that are happening and will continue to happen. So Letitia's kind of angry about that. Very angry about that. I mean, maybe she's angry. Maybe she's getting some kind of kickback. I don't know. $57 million the DOGE just figured out was going from FEMA to the hotels in New York City to cover the migrants when we can't even pay for people in Florida or North Carolina. Like, that makes sense. Letitia James was trying to seize his assets. Letitia James thinks that she can still go after this president. Letitia James is trying to go after Elon Musk and DOGE under the pretense that somehow Elon's getting access to your social security number. Sorry, he's not interested in those. He's interested in what you are spending your money on, one Letitia.
In the past week, Elon Musk
and his so-called Department of Government Efficiency have accessed the personal private information of tens of millions of Americans and sensitive data about public and private entities, Social Security numbers, addresses, tax returns, and more. This unelected group, led by the world's richest man, is not authorized to have this information, and they explicitly sought this unauthorized access to illegally block payments that millions of Americans rely on. Payments for health care, child
Whoa. Payments like the $57 million going to the fancy hotels, or how about the $200 million that's going to the Pakistani group that runs that one Roosevelt hotel? No. Look, you got this all wrong. And Letitia, you better get with the program, because if you don't, Mike Davis, the attorney for Donald Trump, had a rather interesting, I love the soundbite. I know some of you guys have seen it before, but you know what? I need a good laugh. I just had to watch Letitia try and say all that, you know what. So let's watch Mike, who says, you know where you're heading, honey.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. And I promise you that. So
So think long and hard, he says. Way to go. You know what? We're going to put your fat ass in you know where. So Letitia's already running up against it because Letitia's losing her credentials. You see, that's kind of important, I guess, sort of, at least symbolically, for one Letitia James. If you're so full of yourself as she is, you need to have all those federal clearances. Well, they're gone. Boof. Gonzo. Donald Trump stripping Letitia James, also the DA, Alvin Bragg, of their clearances because, well, he doesn't really trust them. Would you? I mean, the woman's trying to bankrupt you. She's made that abundantly clear. Alvin Bragg is so proud he's got these criminal counts against you. That whole thing, by the way, is going to get tossed out in court, as is Letitia's case, for goodness sakes. I wish these guys would get moving. You know what? They don't move like Trump moves. Trump's moving at lightning speed, getting everything exposed with DOGE. You get Letitia losing her access. Also, Andrew Weissman, remember he was the lead prosecutor in the special counsel Robert Mueller case. Then you have, and he hates Trump. I mean, he's always on MSNBC telling us how much he hates Trump. And then you have the guy who represented the CIA analyst, identified as the whistleblower in Trump's impeachment in 2019 over that phone call with Zelensky. That would be Mark Zaid. You also have one Antony Blinken, who's no longer got his security clearance. That's a big deal. He revoked Biden's as well as Jake Sullivan. I mean, Lisa Monaco, who was the Attorney General, Biden's Attorney Deputy General, I should say, who was involved in overseeing those lawfare investigations. Listen, they're all losing it. They're all losing their credentials. And this is part of cleaning house. Like, cleaning house needs to happen right now. And I'm telling you, Pam Bondi's coming for Letitia. That's what's next. You won't believe what Pam said just last night ahead of the Super Bowl. I'm going to get to that. But first, quick shout out from one of our wonderful sponsors here on the Trish Regan Show. We love our friends over at American Heart for Gold. You can get up to $15,000 worth of free silver right now. How about that? At American Heart for Gold, if you text Trish to 65532, or you go to this URL, TrishLovesGold.com. TrishLovesGold.com. Can't forget that. I do. So anyway, 1-844-495-1115 is their phone number if you want to call them. Use my name to get that $15,000 worth of free silver if that's what you're interested in, because, hey, why not? You know what? Silver tends to ride along with gold. You know that gold has been climbing, even in this atmosphere when Donald Trump is trying to find some kind of resolution to the insane debt loads we have. We still have people really worried, me being one of them, about inflation that's coming from just the sheer printing of money. So check this out, TrishLovesGold.com. Pam is coming for Letitia. You better believe it. Pam Bondi's not messing around. The new Attorney General of the United States of America said that she's looking at all of this. First of all, for starters, what is she doing? She's stopping the funding to places like New York City, sanctuary cities that are going up against the law and order of this administration. She's like, no, we're not going to fund you. You want to fight back against us and think you're your own little country? So be it, but you're not going to get federal funding. So this is a big deal. The other thing that she's doing is she's looking at arresting individuals like one Letitia James if they're standing in the way of ICE doing its job. In other words, you have a federal agency that is charged with controlling our border and charged with controlling who's in this country. And when they go around the country and they try and round people up, known criminals, by the way, we got 650,000 known criminals that are here illegally in the United States. Well, they need to be able to go in and arrest them. But it makes it really hard when you have some people in some particular places of power trying to tip off those in those communities, right? So Pam's like, no, I'm not having it. Listen to her here saying she's going after any and all leakers. If you say that an ICE raid is coming in and if you screw it up, that's actually going to come with a serious penalty. You listening, Letitia?
There may be a leak inside the House as it relates to DHS and some of the operations that they are attempting to carry out. What's your reaction to hearing about that, and what, if anything, can be done to mitigate that?
If anyone leaks anything, people don't understand that jeopardizes the lives of our great men and women in law enforcement. And if you leaked it, we will find out who you are and we will come after you. And it's not going to stop our mission. It's not going to stop the president's mission to make America safe again. We were very clear with the lawsuit that we filed in Chicago that if you don't follow the law, you will be prosecuted by the Department of Justice.
Boom. Okay, so she's coming after you. Letitia, again, I'd recommend you listen up. I'd recommend you stop tipping off anybody that you're tipping off. Here, if you're tipping off, here's Pam Bondi again saying she's stopping all federal funding. Letitia James, on the other hand, says, well, New York has laws that protect immigrants and limit cooperation with federal immigration enforcement efforts. Those laws should be followed by law enforcement and officials in our state. I'll always uphold our laws and protect immigrant New Yorkers. No. Let me be very clear on this. I'm not a legal scholar, okay? I'm not a legal scholar, but I know enough about the law to know in this case, if there's one thing the federal government has, it's the ability to control its borders. That's why Governor Abbott ran up against it. When Biden kept tearing down the walls he was trying to put up to keep the illegals out, the Biden administration went back to, well, we're in charge because we're the feds and we control the borders. And so, yeah, it kind of sucked for Texas, but the federal government's in charge. And this is one, Letitia James, where you just don't have a leg to stand on. And they're going to keep coming for you. Tom Homan saying he's working closely with Pam Bondi to make sure they can put you in cuffs should you do such things.
When they come to they cross the line of impediment, and that's why I'm working very close starting this morning with Department of Justice, and where do they cross that line of impediment? So they may find themselves in a pair of handcuffs very soon. So working with DOGE on that, get some legal guidance on that. I'm not an attorney. I know what SecOps is about. I know what crossing that line is, but getting DOJ back up on that. So it's something we're looking at right now, Harris. We're not going to tolerate it anymore. This is not a game. When we show up these sites, this is a dangerous job for the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol and all the DOJ agencies. To have that type of interference puts our officers at great risk. Not only the officers, it puts the aliens at great risk because anything can happen when we take our eyes off the goal here. So we're addressing that immediately today. I'm addressing OPSEC today, operational security, how these leaks are happening. We've already identified how this operation got leaked. I'll deal with that today. So,
yeah, he's not messing around. He's angry. He's referring to an operation in Colorado that got leaked. Apparently one just got leaked in LA. Listen, they are not messing around. Because to Pam Bondi's point, you're putting officers of the law in a tremendous amount of jeopardy when you're leaking these things. And so they got to get rid of them, all of the leakers, and they've got to prosecute right now. In the meantime, they got to move forward with people like Letitia James, who think that somehow they are little islands unto themselves. I get that Manhattan's an island, right? It's not its own country. That's the thing. Okay, so you don't have a leg to stand on, honey. And let's go back to what Mike.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. And I promise you that. So think
twice. Think hard, Letitia.